What's up, y'all? Welcome to Carolina Takedown Talk, episode number 24. We're a North Carolina wrestling podcast that is brought to you by Carolina's Mat News. Mr. Frank Smithwick doing big things in our wrestling community. Make sure you follow him on all of his social media accounts.
We are also brought to you by the Recruiting Accelerator. If y'all want to wrestle in college, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, anything, all of it, all right? Get a hold of Coach Tanner Sewell. He is the man to put you in college and into a program with the right fit for you academically and on the mat. Make sure you go check out his website, recruitingaccelerator.com, and get a hold of Tanner Sewell. With that being said, we've got some pretty cool announcement that we dropped this week.
Yeah, we dropped it on our social medias. We have a website now. CarolinaTakedownTalk.com is brought to you now. Going to be the same content you know and love with our episodes. We've got a bunch of our previous episodes linked in there. Our latest episode will be on the front page. And we also got some new content that we think you're going to love too. Some vlog-style stuff, some recap and highlights. We did North Night over Thanksgiving, and the app invitational that you went to a few weeks ago. That's up on the site right now. Also got an article about the top 5 uncommitted recruits.
Right, which we're going to
dive into in
just a minute.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's one of those things that we're going to try and give you guys the almost like some behind-the-scenes looks at some of these big tournaments, too. Mm-hmm. This is going to kind of give us a way to put a little more of our content out, but also put it in one spot.
Yes.
We're going to try and kind of put everything together. We're still going to be posting on Instagram and Twitter. We're trying to be a little more active on Twitter. I know that's normally your realm. I'm trying to get a little more active on there.
Personal account a little more, but
yeah, and so North Night, we that was a pretty fun one. Got to see Huff and all those guys up there. North Henderson, which they're tough. They're tough this year.
They're sneaky good.
They hung 30 on Avery.
Yeah,
now Avery did still
put it on their thing.
Avery did still do their thing, but they're solid. And always, as always, Coach Knock and Coach Oy, the head coach there, run it perfectly. I mean, it's always one of those things that whenever you can take a 45-minute break before when the finals were supposed to happen, it's a pretty well-ran tournament.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, kind of throwing some takedown clips on there, some highlights, some behind-the-scenes footage of kind of what goes on at tournaments. And we've got some really big ideas for like the state tournament. Some of the other ones that we're going to go to. We're going to kind of keep on trying to do that there.
So while you're watching, go ahead, put it as one of your favorites. And check that website regularly because we're going to be updating it, throwing new content on there, making sure our
we're going to maybe do some articles every now and then.
Articles every now and then. And we got some really big ideas. We want to continue to grow it. Also on there is a support us section. You can click on that and find out ways to support Carolina Takedown Talk.
We really appreciate it for everything that you guys do for us to support us.
Yeah.
Like we've always said, we're two guys that love this sport and we love this state and we love this sport in this state. You know, man. And we want to keep on growing it. You guys keep on hitting us up with messages, telling us how much y'all support us and we love it. We get as much of those as we get the ones that's like, you guys are stupid. Y'all are crazy. This kid's better than this kid, or this team's gonna rip this kid, and we absolutely love it.
Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong.
Because maybe we're wrong, maybe we're right, but you guys are still watching, and that's the big thing. And we really appreciate it because we're gonna be wrong. I was last year. Okay, I was last year in 3A. Ryan was right about his Central Cabarrus boys, which he continuously loves to throw in my face. But we've both been right about some things, and we've both been wrong about some things.
Just like the 2A race with Mount Pleasant last year, we were wrong about that.
Yeah, completely wrong about that. And so, we just, like I said, we just really appreciate all the support that y'all have given us, that you guys continue to give us. And if you want to find out other ways that you can, check out that support us page on CarolinaTakedownTalk.com. Also something new, though.
We're getting some new segments going on. So Rhett and I, we talked a lot in the summer and the fall, and even in last year in the season. We really want to bring some new perspective type content to you guys, and that's where Rhett's idea for the vlogs, behind the scenes highlights came from for the website, and then we kind of came up with these concepts for Two things we're doing now that will drop on our social media accounts, specifically Instagram and Facebook, for the majority, and that is a weekly recap. I'm going to be dropping every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, depending on my schedule / how quickly results enter track, where I'm just going to kind of recap the week.
Coaches, please get your results into track.
Little quick PSA there. Yeah. But I'm going to be just a quick video. The last one was kind of long because I was recapping 2 weeks, but I'm going to try to keep it about 3 minutes where I just kind of hit the highlights of the big team results and big individual results. And then we are also now doing a wrestler and team of the week that we will drop somewhere in that same range. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday if we're late on it.
So for our first wrestler of the week, we put this out there last week. Kid had some pretty solid wins. Missed his sophomore season. Missed his sophomore season. And I know everyone's going to think I'm still biased on this, okay? But Noah Tokubin from Inca, first wrestler of the week. And
big win over Brock Carey to get him there. I put out the video.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I know Rhett gets a lot of hate for his Inca bias, but actually I was the driver's seat on that one. I was the one who made sure.
I sent Ryan about a list of 10 names.
Yeah, and I picked that one.
And it wasn't like I tried to do anything to get it to not be Noah, but I wanted to make sure that we had options, that we picked the right one. So with that being said, if you think that you should win Wrestler of the Week, or coaches, if you think one of your wrestler should win Wrestler of the Week, or parents even.
Parents, fans, anybody,
send it in. You can either send it to us at CarolinaTakedownTalk@gmail.com, or you can send it to our Instagram at Carolina Takedown Talk. You can send it to us on Twitter, at
Facebook
at
as well.
Car Takedown Talk, and then Facebook as well. Or you can DM us, anything. Just put your nominations in, and we'll put in there why you think you should, or why you think your nomination should win it, so that we can kind of, I guess, pick the best ones. That we can have a little bit more. Also, with that being said, with the recap stuff, if y'all think that a big upset happened, or somebody just completely wrecked something big happened that you think we should know about, and that you think it should be involved on our recap segment, send it in. Let us know. It's two of us.
Yeah, two of us. Right? I'm on track quite a bit, but I'm still gonna miss stuff, especially with with tournaments being back, and there's 10 tournaments a week plus all the duels going on. I'm gonna miss stuff for sure.
So our biggest thing is we don't want to miss it. If it happened, we don't want to miss it. We want to make sure that we give you the best coverage in North Carolina that anyone can give you. We are very passionate about it. We want to be the best coverage in the state, and just give the kids the notoriety and that's the biggest reason we want to do it.
Publicity that they deserve for the hard work. That's the whole reason we started this podcast, is just trying to get North Carolina kids' names out there and give them the love that they deserve with all the stuff that they're doing, and we can compete with the national power type stuff. So we just want to make sure that the kids in this state that are working their butts off day in, day out, we want to make sure that you guys get the praise y'all deserve, the credit you deserve. And so we try and look at every result that we can, but we're going to miss some. So if we miss some, let us know. And, like we said earlier, we are never going to be mad about y'all sending us something and saying y'all missed this or y'all got this wrong, whatever. Let us know. We're always open for conversation. I mean, before we started this episode, I think I responded to 4 or 5 different people of kind of things they were saying of, hey, this guy's going under the radar. Hey, I think you guys are sleeping on this team, or hey, Rhett has Inca bias. And we really might be missing those results and sleeping on or under the radar on somebody, and you will clue us in on them.
Right. Let us know.
And so speaking of our website and all that content we're dropping, on the website right now is top 5 uncommitted recruits in North Carolina, regardless of grade level.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go back and edit that because Jackson Baglio has made his decision. He is committed to North Carolina State and Pat Pop. And, man, Rhett, That is the top 2 kids on my big board for the 2023 class. Jeremiah Price and Jackson Baglio now to NC State. I know they took a visit there together. Very impressive for NC State. They're on these top kids in North Carolina. 2 years ago, they got Donald Cates, who was number 1 on the big board. Then they got Holden Cipher and James Joplin, who are really high in the top 5 in their class last year. And now, in this junior class, the 23 class, they have Jackson Baglio and Jeremiah Price, the only sophomore national champs we had last year. They're coming to Raleigh.
Yeah, as of right now.
Huge,
they are committed.
Huge right now.
So big shout out to NC State. We always, I don't want to say gripe, but we always kind of beg and plead our North Carolina schools, keep our big names here. Right, keep our big names in the state. That's how we're going to keep on growing the sport. Especially in the state, is keeping these local guys here and having them find success. Right. I mean, you see John Milner from App State. Right. These guys are growing. You see Donald Cates going to NC State. Right. I mean, the big names are staying in the state. Caleb Smith at App. Right. Which I'm still riding the hype train on that. We'll see him top 25 soon. I was super excited about him. But big shout out to you, Coach Pop at NC State. I'm
excited to see Jackson on the next level. Obviously, him being number 2 on the big board on his class, really high on him, and I had him in that top 5 uncommitted recruits. Gonna have to go back and edit him out since he is committed now. Go back and change it now.
But another guy on that list I want to talk about really fast. That we've kind of been awaiting his arrival into the season. And it's come. Cage Williams, Robbinsville. We just want to talk about this for a second. Plays in the semifinal round, the high school football playoffs against Mitchell High School. Robbinsville fell short. Cage is such a monster. He said, you know what? I'm just going to hop back on the mat tomorrow. Most kids take a week off, and we're not saying you're wrong for doing this. Okay?
No.
And coaches, we're not saying you're wrong for letting your kids rest a week after football. All that stuff. Heal up. Be ready to go. Cage wasn't having any of that. He popped right back on the mat against Inca the next day.
And got the fall.
Cage is an absolute monster. I cannot wait to see what his season holds for him.
Me either.
Super excited.
It's just impressed with me. We talked about Chase Creighton kind of doing he played football and then wrestled Super 32 the next day. It's impressed with me that kids are willing to do that and play football on Friday night and then Cage turned around. And here he is wrestling on Saturday. Which,
here I go again. NC State, if it has to be you, I don't care. Keep Cage in the state.
I know. he's on my top 5. You're going to have to go to the website and figure out where in that top 5 I have him.
There we go. But a big thing this season that has kind of been emerging, and this is our first episode that we kind of just get to talk. For a while we've kind of been doing like lists and not rankings but recaps and everything else,
title contenders and stuff like that.
And so this is kind of just our first one. We're going to get to talk about stuff, and like we said before, if y'all want to hear something, if y'all want to hear a segment or a topic on next week's episode, let us know. If y'all have any recommendations, any requests, anything like that, we are always open to ideas. We want to make this the best for you guys and what y'all want. But the biggest thing that's kind of been popping up this year, it's kind of shocked us the most, is the freshmen.
The freshman class. Now, last year I was really high in our freshman class, especially the top 3, right? Joe Seeley, Cage Williams, Eli Murray. And those 3 have proven themselves to be like just that, been really good. And then the rest of the freshman class is really good as well with all the way down Charleston Baglio, Cam Stinson, just all those kids, right? They proved they were really good. All of those guys did. Mejia, Hunter Clark. That sophomore class is good. This freshman class, honestly, I guess I slept on a little bit. I didn't know as much about them. I kind of stopped trying to keep track of the junior high ranks. It was just I couldn't do that and keep track of the high school stuff. So they stuck up on me a little more than the year prior. And especially after losing Jax Forrest from this class and Zeno Moore, who are top nationally ranked kids. But this freshman class has come to the party, man. They are fire. I've been really impressed with quite a number of them. We've talked about Carter Floyd from Ford a couple of times already, that he is a title contender.
He is lighting it on fire.
He looks really good right now.
He looks solid. Man, it would be. I think he's in the conversation for the best of this group.
Yeah,
I think that
I have him number 2 on the big board right now.
Yeah, I think he might be leading the pack from what he's done this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this high school season, what he has done to this date, I think Carter Floyd is the best freshman we have right now.
So yeah, I mean his results so far. I don't know if anybody else has a better resume right now. Carter Floyd. I mean he majored Noah Cobble just a couple weeks ago, right? And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, a big win over 4th place winner a year ago. I mean,
clutch win in Lake Norman Duels this past weekend.
Yeah, him and Brock Carey brought it home for him at Lake Norman Duels, right? Like, so Carter Floyd looking the part of what we expected when he came into high school.
Yeah.
Ian Fritz is number 1 on that big board right now. He hasn't run into like any of the top guys, but he will.
Yeah.
And I still think he's right in there to win at the 4A 120, 4A 126 range. Now, he has a couple more elite veteran guys in his way, but Ian Fritz at top sale right now, really, really good. So those are the top 2, but there's some other freshmen that have kind of emerged. Like the one kid I do have on my big board that I knew was good, but his results so far have been fantastic, is Bodie Kirkland from Bandy's. And this is a kid, I messaged you right after his first...
From where?
From Bandy's. I messaged you first weekend of the year after you picked Bandy's to win, and I said, Bodie Kirkland just pinned Noah Murray.
Yeah.
I think they have a title contender at 120.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps your case for your team title pick. But Bodie has
been...
We can
talk a little more 2A later.
Yeah, but Bodie has been nothing short of phenomenal this year. He's beaten Noah Murray a handful of times, beaten a couple other of really good guys. So he's a title threat as well at 120. So these freshmen, I mean, 3 guys we've talked about so far, really, really good. All title contenders.
Already all in the title contention.
Already in that title contending thing. Now, this one kid, now all 3, Fritz, Floyd, Kirkland, they're all 126 and below.
Yeah.
This one kid, Colt Campbell, he's a 45, 38 pounder. I can't remember off the top of my head which one right now he's wrestling, but man, he's turning in some pretty impressive results too for Hickory Ridge. He has looked very impressive results wise. I haven't seen any video clips of him yet, but just from what I'm
if you're watching, send us some clips.
Send us something. But from what I'm hearing, I've had 3 people message me separately about this kid and say, "Hey, really pay attention. Is this kid someone you're paying attention to?" And I saw one result that already had dialed me into him, but he's someone to keep an eye on. Now, winning in those middleweights as a freshman is tough, but I think this is a kid that really is a candidate for high place winning from Hickory Ridge at 4A, Colt Campbell. And then another kid that kind of, Noah Murray's kind of been a measuring stick a little bit this year for Bodie Kirkland. And then Liam Hickey from Cardinal Gibbons, who this is another guy emerging for Cardinal Gibbons to give them somebody, another title contender for their team rice hopes. Liam Hickey from Cardinal Gibbons, fall against Noah Murray, beating some other really good kids, undefeated so far in this year.
Right.
And I heard he might be going down to 13. He's at 120 right now. If he goes down to 13, could be a title favorite down there, minus the fact of Cam Stinson. I don't think he beats Stinson, but he can make the finals opposite of him.
I don't know if there's him in state.
Yeah, but Liam Hickey's good. He's really, really good. I know he kind of, from what I understand, he wrestled a lot up until the past year, and kind of, I mean, with the COVID season and stuff, everybody kind of dialed back a little bit, I think. But now he's back in his freshman season, looking really good. And then 2 Avery freshmen. I feel like we talk about Avery freshmen every year. Last year it was Grant Reese and Ben Jordan. This year it's Cooper Foster and Kenneth Pritz. Cooper Foster, 106-pounder, putting up some big numbers already. Definitely a title contender at 106. And then Kenneth Pritz is ranked number 1 by ranked wrestlers at 126 for 1A right now.
Wow.
Now, I think Aldo Hernandez, Jade Noel, and Logan Torrell, one of them is going to come down to 126 eventually. So
I would say so.
But Kenneth Pritz looking really good. We know he has a really good wrestling family background. We know a little bit about one of his uncles on a personal level. So, but Kenneth Pritz, he beat Camden Spencer from Newton Conover this past weekend, and that's a really good win for him
it is.
As a freshman. So 2 more freshmen for Avery County. They just keep turning these kids out.
The rich keeps on getting richer there.
But this freshman
they grind.
Class,
they grind up there at Avery.
But this freshman class as a whole is just really good right now.
It is.
Just really good.
The future's bright, and it's always awesome to see. I mean, look at our sophomore class, too.
Yeah.
The future of North Carolina is very, very bright right now.
I really like our junior class, too, with Caleb Beatty and Jeremiah Price, Jackson Baglio, Aiden's a senior, excuse me, but just those top three right there, right?
Yeah.
And they're really good as well. So I feel like we're getting better each year. Every year we're seeing these freshmen come in. But this freshman class in particular, like I said, kind of snuck up on me a little bit. I didn't realize they were going to be this good, this quick.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anyone really saw. I think I knew that Carter Floyd would be pretty good. I did not see him putting up the results that he is doing that he's putting up now.
I felt pretty confident about Fritz and Floyd.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure Floyd would be majoring Noah Caldwell like that.
That's really what that's what put it on to me. It was like, okay, he's here. He's the real deal.
He's real. I thought he would win that match, but I thought it'd be more like a 6-2.
We talked about that that day too.
5-2, something like that. And
I said that he was. I predicted the win. But no, I thought it was going to be like a 3-2, like a 4-3. I thought it was going to be a tight one. I did not expect to see him roll through 10-2 there. Now we also didn't see the full match, so but at the same time, a major is a major. So
I was feeling pretty good about Fritz and Floyd coming in. And I knew Kirkland was pretty good. I didn't realize he was going to be as good as he is right away. The others, some of them I heard of, some of them I hadn't.
Right.
But they're on fire right now. Yeah. And the thing is, too, look at where they're coming from. I'm not sure, but I'm predicting that Cole Campbell's a dark horse kid because he's in that Hickory Ridge area. Carter Floyd's a dark horse kid. Bodie Kirkland is a dark horse kid.
Right.
Fritz, I'm pretty sure wrestles at Port City, being out there. 2 Dogtown kids. Hickey's a raw wrestling club. They're coming from these top clubs and producing. And I think that's been a big difference for North Carolina as a whole, as we've talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah.
Like these big
the club scene is popping right now.
Awesome clubs that we have right now. So
it really is. Like we're saying, the freshmen, I'm just so excited. That's what the beginning of the season, this kind of, I guess, first quarter has been. That's been the highlight for me is the freshmen. That's been the main storyline.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any crazy upsets.
Nothing that I was like, oh man, that's wild.
There's been a few that's been like, oh wow, that's a big win for him.
Yeah.
But it's kind of been one of those things where it's like, okay, that kid was good. We knew that he was good too. And he pulled off an upset, right?
Yeah,
but there hasn't been anything like world burner, oh my gosh, this kid's the new, whatever.
But
these freshmen have been the highlight of the season so far.
I would agree with that. That for me, the first 3 or 4 weeks of our season so far, I think the storyline is the freshmen are here. Yeah. Right? The freshmen are on fire.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
No doubt. And I think another storyline is going to be down in 1A. We always talk about Avery. We have been talking about Avery a lot, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
but they have earned that, I feel. Yeah. But one team that has slowly been, and I don't even really know if slowly is the word for it.
Yeah.
They're kind of charging right now, and have been incredibly impressive, has been UR Charter.
Yeah, they have. And we, as you said, we talk about Avery a whole lot, and deservedly so, but UR Charter has been looking amazing this year. Mid-season,
adding Aldo Hernandez. I know they moved down there.
Yeah. Doug Bowles looks great.
That was a big addition for them. Aldo's
Grayson Roberts
monster.
Looks great.
Yes.
Jack MacArthur looks great on their squad right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just...
I think dual team, I think they could give Avery a run dual team right now.
Yeah, I think it's a lot closer than maybe we originally thought. I mean, I said in the beginning it's a little more vulnerable in that area. But, we're talking about it off air. UR Charters looked really impressive. Their win over Cary was not even close.
Yeah.
Right? And they've continued to look that way. Alden Hernandez looks like he's even gotten better from the year before.
Which I'm really high on that kid. I enjoy watching him wrestle.
I think he's really good, too. You are, even higher on him than I am.
I am really high on him.
I think their whole lineup has looked pretty impressive. So I think that, again, I agree with you that that's a storyline right now, is that UR Charter, I don't think they've really almost ever looked better, except for like that one season they just completely dominated everybody. Right. I think it was Hayden Waddell's senior year.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was his junior. One of the years they just completely dominated the state tournament, both dual and state tournament wise. But they've looked so good, man. They've looked so good.
They have looked solid. And another one that has been looking pretty good. I know I picked Bandies in 2A.
Yeah.
I'm sticking by that pick right now. I don't think I'm going to fall off that pick. But Newton Conover is making a case.
Newton Conover is
the
good.
2A race is emerging.
Listen, we sat here 2 episodes ago, and I said to you right here on air, I said,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe the coaches know something about Newton Conover that we don't know, that I haven't seen, because they only returned 1 state qualifier. But good night, they're good this year, man. They really are what they always are. Yeah. And maybe last year wasn't, with everything going on, wasn't their year, or maybe they were just kind of one year of rebuilding, and here we go.
Yeah.
But they're really good.
Which sounds so crazy now, like that. It's crazy that is the not the norm anymore. Of in the past you'd kind of see a team really go up.
Yeah,
they'd lose those seniors.
It was more cyclical, right?
They'd kind of dip for a little bit and they'd be back up. Now it's kind of been like,
just stay.
Everyone's here.
Yeah.
No one's really reloading, no one's really rebuilding. Everyone's reloading. Newton Conover has built, and they look good. They look solid. They did just beat Central Cabarrus, which I just had to throw that up for you.
Well, I
am a Central Cabarrus fan this year. I'm not saying I'm a homer like you are.
Yeah.
Everyone says I'm an Inca homer. But, number one fan over here to Central Cabarrus. But, anyways, tournament team-wise, Newton Conover is dangerous.
Yeah, and they dominated Bandies. I know we heard Bandies didn't have their full lineup, and they didn't. But, they dominated in that first tournament of the year. And I know they're going to match up quite a bit going forward.
I'm super excited. I will be at.
Yeah, Red will be there. I might be there.
Newton Conover Bandies duel. I will be there. I believe it's January 11th.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Newton Conover. I think it is at Newton Conover that time. I'm not sure, but I know that's the week after the 7th. After will be the Ford Avery duel, which I still think. I think that could be our 1 and 2 duels of the year right there.
That'd be fun.
If we're looking at team races. Or not team races, but title contenders. Because I do think that Avery takes it in one. But
speaking of Newton Conovers and Bandies and like the 2 teams, right? We kind of sat here in the beginning of the year and talked about this team race a little bit. I'm still picking Mount Pleasant for 2A. That is my pick. Wow. I'm speaking tournament team wise. Dual team wise, I'm not so sure. I think it's probably going to be West Lincoln, Newton Conover, Bandies, one of those 3.
Yeah.
But Mount Pleasant tournament team wise, to me, they're still that team.
Yeah.
But the 2A race, I wasn't super excited about, to be honest, when we were talking about it. I kind of felt like Mount Pleasant was a little bit ahead at tournament wise. There wasn't you picked Bandies, and I kind of poo-pooed that pick a little bit. I'm like, whatever, Rat, you're just a little crazy. But they looked
that's
really
not wrong.
Yeah. They've looked phenomenal. Bodie Kirkland emerging as a title contender really helps. Newton Conover's looked great, right?
Yeah.
So it really had those 3 big guns, and then I was like, who's going to emerge from the 2A East? Who's going to emerge from the 2A East? I think it's going to be Washington. They're a good program out there. They've kind of been in that top tier-ish, trying to fight with the Curritucks, the Crotans, and the first flights in that 2A East. And now they've kind of moved out. I think North Pitt has a little bit of a shot in there too. Washington, North Pitt can emerge out. I'm not sure if either of those teams are going to be able to fend off a Newton Conover type or a Bandies type or a Mount Pleasant type right now. Because they have so many those teams have so many bullets in the chamber, so to speak. But the 2A race now has become way more intriguing to me. Between those 3 teams out here, out west, and then looking at the North Pitt, Washington kind of emerging in the East and seeing what's going to happen going forward. So I really like the way the 2A race is kind of developing, and I'm interested in that duel And I'm interested in to see when we get into the Holy Angels tournament what that kind of tells us a little bit about the 2A race
For
as
sure.
well.
I mean, I do think that Reedsville's still in there.
Yes, so for me, Reedsville's the team that has the most growth potential.
If we go back and look at it, if we're talking dual teams, the rankings that came out, the preseason coaches rankings by Southeast Wrestle. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the North Carolina dual team and tournament team rankings on southeastwrestle.com or southeastwrestling.com. But they've played out 1 Mount Pleasant, 2 Bandies, 3 West Lincoln, 4 Newton Conover, and 5 Reedsville. I think
gonna be fun.
I think we've shook that up a little bit.
Yes.
For me, I'm gonna go Bandies 1, and then I'm putting Newton Conover very close to, a very very close to, and then 3 Mount Pleasant, 4 West Lincoln, and 5 Reedsville.
See, I'm going a little differently. I think I know you picked Bandies 1.
Yeah.
I'm going 1A, 1B. I'm looking. I'm not sure who I'm putting 1 and who I'm putting 2, but I think West Lincoln and Newton Conover are the top 2 dual teams.
You think so?
Yeah, West Lincoln beat North the other night. It looked really good doing that.
Beat North Henderson.
Yeah. So
I think they beat Inca too, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
So West Lincoln looking really good. They're going to fly under the radar, I think, a little more. But so I think it's one of those 2 teams as the top 2. Third, Bandies. And then 4th, 5th is kind of Reedsville, Mount Pleasant in between those. And then bring in a North Pitt or Washington, whoever emerges as like a 6th team.
I can see North Pitt sliding.
Yeah, North Pitt's got a really good squad led by Raheem Jones at 1A2. Has looked really good this year as well. But yeah, Reedsville to me is the one with the most potential. If you ask me which team could go from our perception changing now to the state tournament, dual-wise or tournament-wise, Reedsville's it. They're the team that has the most chance to change their outcome at the end of the year.
They kind of control their destiny a little bit more.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. So there's 2A, 3A. Man, it's tough to say anyone other than Ford.
Man, they're making a really strong case, aren't they?
It's tough.
They beat Union Pines pretty handily at the Lake Norman duels. They beat Inca very handily, right? Yeah. So they're making a really strong case. I am still going tournament team wise. I am still going with the Vikings. Right, I'm still going with Marcus Jackson,
but I'm the homer
and the Baglios. I think they're going to bring it, and they have some other kids that are going to contribute points to the state tournament. I've been watching their roster develop over last year, this year. They got some really good kids that are qualifying and score points, along with those 3 kids that are really going to score a lot of points at the state tournament. So I'm still picking them. I'm still going with Central. I'm still going to put them as the number 1 team in 3A, even though Ford's making a case. Really hard case to prove me wrong on that one, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're leaning towards like Ford's pretty much in control right now.
I think so. I think Ford's in the driver's seat. For me, if we're going to go back to our rankings here, I enjoy looking at this.
Me too.
At the list that Southeast Russell did.
That Jason
Fulmer did with all the coaches that he sent that out to. And because it kind of just gives me a visual of it. And so the way it started out for the preseason rankings was Ford 1, Cata 2, Central Cabarrus 3, Union Pines 4, Pisgah 5.
Yeah.
I think right now it goes Ford, Central Cabarrus, Cata, Pisgah, Union Pines.
Yeah, and I'm not. And you're saying that's dual team wise?
Yeah, that's dual team. I think that it goes Ford.
Yeah.
I will put Central Cabarrus at 2.
Yeah.
I do. I think that Central Cabarrus has passed Cata this year so far. At this point. Marcus Jackson, the Baglios.
It's tough dual team wise.
They are very tough. They are loaded. But I do think that I think Cata would go down to 3 there. After Union Pines' previous results here, and after seeing Pisgah in person, I think I'm putting Pisgah at 4 and Union Pines at 5.
I think so. I don't know. I think those are still pretty accurate as far as where we're at. Union Pines still, even though Ford kind of handled them, they've been having some good results. Cata.
I think that could also just be how good Ford is.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I agree.
Like I don't know if we can read into too much from that result. I think that was just
they're that good
Ford's
right now.
that good right now. I cannot wait for the Ford Avery duel.
It's gonna be so much fun.
I can't wait.
I think Cata is kind of flying under the radar a little bit right now because they haven't hit a bunch of the really good teams yet. But I mean, they still have their
handling people.
They have their 3 super studs, and then they have a really, really good stud in Logan Fight.
Yeah.
And then they have some other really good kids as well. So they're up there. Pisgah is the team to me as far as dual team wise that is flying way too under the radar. People aren't talking about them enough. Pisgah has a great program they have for years, and they're always consistently at the top of challenging the really good teams. I think they're going to present a lot of matchup problems for Ford. Do I think they're going to beat Ford? No. Yeah. Do I think that they're going to be the toughest challenge out of the West? Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But tournament team wise, when it comes to the 3A race, right? Right now, Ford is, ranking wise, probably is at the top, right?
Ford's 1, Cata's 2.
You know who I've picked?
Central Cabarrus is 3, Inca's 4, and Fike is 5.
I picked Central Cabarrus as the eventual winner, but I'll tell you, there's a team.
I know exactly where we're going with
There's
this.
a team that I think very highly of.
Yes.
I may be a little biased towards it times.
At times.
But as I was talking about Reedsville.
At times.
Yeah. As I was talking about Reedsville, the team that controls their destiny the most, right? Which team has the most potential for growth?
Yeah.
First Flight. All the way out to Outer Banks. First Flight. I'm telling you guys, they are really good again this year. They got some super studs. You got Milos. You got Reagan Riddick. You got Jacob Krasinski, right? We know those names, but they also have this kid named Trevor Schweitzer. He was a state qualifier last year. He's been killing people at 220. Yeah. Killing people. Like I don't think he's had too many close matches at all. Looks really good. They got a kid named Gage Tomlin that's also a state qualifier last year. I think both those guys would have been in the running for placings if we would have had Russell Blacks last year. They just didn't have the right matchup in the quarters.
Right.
And they also have Jacob's brother, Scott, who's a 45-pounder that he's really solid as well. I think he's going to challenge for like that 5th, 6th place finish, right? And then they also have this kid named Simpson, all right, that he big on the middle school scene. I had him on the big board, took last year off, and now he's back, wrestling 160 right now. Once he gets back in the swing of things, this kid is phenomenal. He's going to really challenge to place as well. So if you're not counting, that's a lot of people that are going to be really good on their team. That the kids they bring to the state tournament are going to be all challenged to be on the podium and high on the podium too. So I think,
which makes a big deal. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have the firepower to really put a lot of champs up there, but I think they've got a lot of kids that can make the podium.
Yeah,
and that's points. If we're looking at the rankings right now in tournament teams, I do think the Ford stays at 1. I think the Central Cabarrus is at 2 again. I think that with the Baglios and Marcus Jackson, that's 3 potential champs right there.
Yes.
And then they've got a few more kids that can make podium. Cata, they've got their superstars, like we've already said, right?
Yeah.
Like they've got state champs locked, almost locked and loaded, like locked in at this point. I think First Flight would take Inca's spot.
Yeah.
At 4.
I think
For me, and after looking at everything that you've brought in and brought up with First Flight, and then looking at the results, I think the First Flight would be in there at 4. And I think they're at a sneaky 4.
Yes.
They could place a lot of kids.
I think so too.
And then 5, they've got Fike right now, which Fike is always one of those teams.
Good. They're so good. We talked about that originally.
Yeah, they're always one of those teams that just comes up out of nowhere, who they don't really, I don't want to say they don't impress throughout the season, but they don't make a lot of of headlines and a lot of
I don't think they look at a lot of the big
noise during the season, but they always pop up the state tournament and they just kind of go, all right, there's 3 fight kids in the finals, like where'd they come from?
Yeah, no,
and they're all tossing people on their heads, like Always great. So you can never really rule them out. I think they're always like just the underdog in the shadows of 3A is Fike, and it's just kind of, I think it's just like that state tournament time of year.
Yes.
You know, like I don't even know who they duel throughout the year, what tournaments they go to. I want to look into that a little bit more, and maybe by next episode I'll have looked into it. But they're always dangerous, but I don't know if Inca makes top 5 here. They're pulling out some names there.
Yeah, they got Grayson Harris.
They've got Grayson Harris.
Bodie McCormick.
Bodie McCormick. He just beat
Henry
Portella from North Henderson this past week. Noah Tokeben is one.
Yes,
and then they've also got Isaiah Morrison. So they've got 4 kids there.
4 solid
off
kids.
the bat.
And I would say probably 2 title contenders with Tokeben and Grayson Harris.
And so with that, I think I'm going to keep Inca in the top 5.
I'm going to go.
You guys can always call me a homer on Inca. But I think they go from 4 to 5. But I do think that they've got some kids in there that can push titles.
I really think highly of Grayson Harris and the whole program. But I think they're outside the top 5 right now. I would slide. I'm really high on Pisgah right now.
Yeah.
Xander Hill and Kane Bryson are so good, and I just think they're going to kind of take Pisgah with them. Yeah. I know they're pretty young up and down the board.
Yeah.
But
which is scary for the state.
Yeah, I think they're really good right now.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with them at North Knight and some of their dual results as well.
I think that one we're leaving out in 3A is Havelock.
Yeah,
I think Havelock can always make noise in 3A.
The East. Now, who's another one? I feel like we're leaving out 3. This is why 3A was the most entertaining to me.
Yeah,
I'm talking about First Flight. One of their rivals, just up the beach, 45 minutes or so from First Flight High School, is Currituck High School, and Currituck.
Yeah.
At Pierce Davis, put up a bunch.
Currituck is one that could be looked at, and Cape Fear.
Yeah, I mean
a
Currituck's
few
got
other beach schools there.
They got a kid named Noah Reynolds that's like wrestling 170. Is really good. They got the Binkley kid, Ethan Binkley, that's wrestling 52. That's really good. They got Brooke Zach, who I think is the second best girl in the state behind Reagan Riddick right now. So they got some really super studs there too. I think the difference between, for me, why I lean First Flight is state tournament wise is because I think you're gonna have higher state placings out of the First Flight kids than the Currituck kids. But Currituck is really good right now. Havelock, like you said, is looking good right now.
Yeah.
This is why 3A to me is the most intriguing because you got Cata, Currituck, and a team we already talked about, Union Pines.
Yes.
Union Pines,
always in it.
They are going to be right there too. Yep. They have some really good kids there. So
for sure,
3A is fun.
3A is. I think that's your classification that you're most excited for. The next one's mine, 4A.
Yeah.
4A is awesome this year. I mean, I feel like it always is, but this year it's a big question. So there's a pretty big result that came out this. I want to say it was Friday, maybe.
Yes, at some point this weekend.
Yeah, it was some point later on in the week, but Pinecrest knocked off Laney.
Yes. In a duel. At Pinecrest Duels.
At Pinecrest Duels. So that's a pretty big one. Do you think that changes the race picture here, or that 4A team race?
To me, as of right now, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my mind. I still think Laney's the favorite. And the reason I think that is, number one, in this duel, there was no Lucas Cutto and there was no Mark Samuel. Right. I think Pinecrest actually wins anyway in the duel. I mean, it just based on the score. It probably would have been a lot closer in the balance. But, I mean, as far as looking at the state tournament picture, looking at the end of the year, it doesn't change my mind of Laney's the favorite.
Still think so?
I still think right now I will take Laney to win the state tournament.
I think Lake Norman is going to drown some people.
Yeah.
I think Lake Norman right now is making the biggest case for 4A team title. But I do think that it's Laney right behind them. I think Josh Stanley at Lake Norman has really put together a ridiculously strong case for state title favorites this year, and I'm going with them. Well, I'm officially making that pick right now.
You're going Lake Norman?
Lake Norman, 4A state champs. Laney is solid, and I think that Laney is the main team that can challenge them. I think Pinecrest, I want to see that Pinecrest-Laney duel.
In
both teams 100%.
State duels.
Yeah. State duels. Whenever both are bumping,
but
bumping the right way.
Shout out to Pinecrest
way.
for that win because they've beaten Laney.
Yeah.
They beat
Pinecrest is quietly
had the
rising.
They've had the best duel season of anybody. I think they beat Mount Pleasant. Yeah. They've beaten Laney.
They are holding. They are proving
who's
that
the third one team they beat? They beat someone
right
really
now.
good.
Because right now in the 4A rankings, I guess we'll do that for 4A too. For the dual teams, it goes Laney, Lake Norman. So Laney at 1, Lake Norman at 2, Pinecrest at 3,
Deserved.
Huff at 4, Cardinal Gibbons at 5.
Right now, based on results. Yes, Samuel didn't wrestle and Kodo didn't wrestle, but the match happened. I think Pinecrest should be the number 1 dual team in the state.
I would say Lake Norman 1, Pinecrest 2.
Rankings-wise, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I would go Lake Norman 1, Pinecrest 2, Laney 3 because of that head-to-head win. Yeah. Full squad or not, losing those two or not, I think you still put them there. A quiet team right there in 4A is Mooresville. Yeah. I think Mooresville is getting slept on.
Another team and
Lumberton, I think, is getting slept on.
Cardinal Gibbons, man.
Okay.
Cardinal Gibbons. They're
at 5, so I don't know if they're really slept on.
They're not slept on, but I feel like we're kind of Laney, Lake Norman heavy.
Biased this year. Maybe not biased this year, but I think we're heavy on them this year.
I think
top 3.
You're kind of dialed in on Lake Norman. I kind of think Laney, right? But Cardinal Gibbons, they got Tyler Tracy, they got Luke Kuth, they got Liam Hickey that we talked about earlier on the episode. Yeah. Right? They've got quite a number of kids that are really good, putting out really good results right now. So I think they are going to be in the thick of things. They're going to be right there to win it on day 2, day 3 of the state tournament, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but back to Pinecrest for a second though, just because they've beaten 3 really good teams this year. They were our team of the week for last week. They're making a pretty strong case to be team of the week again.
They
2
might
weeks
get
in a row.
back.
Send any nominations to us other than that. That to me, that they kind of stand out with that big win right there.
I think Ford might have a strong case for finishing as highly as they did in Lake Norman Duels, which was a really tough dual team tournament this past weekend. But I agree, Pinecrest and Cardinal Gibbons are really moving up there. Huff is still tough. I'm excited. I want to see. I'm not sure if Huff is still in the football playoffs now.
Yeah,
I know they were last week. I don't know if they. We'll check on that. But I want to see their full lineup back. I know they were a little banged up at the North Night. They had a few starters out, so we didn't really get to see the full lineup for Huff in person.
I'm excited to see that.
Which I'm always high on Huff. I'm a big Huff fan. I love that program. But I do think it is as tough as this is to say though, because Pinecrest just beat Laney. I don't want to say it's a 2-team race here.
I think it's too early.
I think this top
race,
5. I think the top 5 in dual team rankings right now in 4A are spot on. That is the who is going to show up in Greensboro and have the best tournament. And I think any of them can. Laney does have a really good case, though.
Their lineup
led by senior good. Devin Bell, who is
2-time state champ Mark Samuel in there.
Yeah, and Mark Samuel.
They're loaded up and down.
Yeah.
Now, I'm picking Laney. I said Laney's the favorite.
Yeah.
But you're talking Lake Norman, and we know Sakari Morrison. We talk about Sakari a lot. He's earned every second of that we talk about him. Carson Floyd, hammer, looks amazing this year. Preseason national champ, right? We know
solid run Super 32.
Yeah, we know the Murray brothers. We talk about Eli and Noah a good bit. Eli looking phenomenal this year. Noah kind of having a little bit of a rough patch.
Noah's wrestled some tough kids.
He's probably wrestled the toughest schedule of any kid
anyone in North Carolina. We've talked about him a lot already on the losing side of it. Yeah. But he is wrestling a really tough schedule so far, and I think that's going to really
we talked about that.
help him later on in the season.
We think he's going to be just fine when state tournament time rolls around. But
please don't think that us pointing out that Noah's lost a few is us writing him off. No. In no way, shape, or form.
He'll be right there at the end.
We think he's still right there in the contention, and I honestly think he's going to be better for it because he's wrestling these kids. He's wrestling really like the highest level of the kids in the state that we have right now. Like some of the just the emerging kids that we have, and he's going to be making adjustments. I know with Coach Josh Stanley there, like they're going to be making those adjustments. When the postseason comes in February, he's going to be ready.
Yeah, so
he's going to be dialed in.
We know about those top 4, and those were kind of their studs last year, right? Yeah. Those were the kind of the guys they rode with the state tournament. Elite guys.
Yes.
Now, one kid that was not on their roster last year was 2 years ago, JT Richards. We talked about him as a title contender at 138.
Yep.
He's still that. He's a stud. But they've also had some more kids emerge, which I'm kind of making your case for. Like,
thank you. Do my work for me.
Why Lake Norman should be a title favorite. Yep. Their 132-pounder, LaCoves, has been turning in some really impressive results as well. Just really looked good this year. Had a great Lake Norman duels. And then their 152-pounder, who's been around a while, he is dominating kids this year. At Brody Neal, a couple times state qualifier already, looking really good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him placed very high on the podium as well. So Lake Norman's going to bring 6-7 elite kids to the state tournament. Kind of similar to what I was saying to First Flight. Like I think, and maybe even extrapolated more of these kids are even a little more proven at this point that they're going to come and they're going to place very high.
Yes.
And if Sikori and Carson and Eli score those points that we predict them to, and Noah scores the points that we predict him to, and JT does as well, the rest of the team, I mean, they're going to be hard to beat.
I think we might have left off a freshman off that list that has been crushing it.
Who's that?
From Huff.
Yeah. How did I forget about
Jackson Rowling?
Yeah, Jackson. I mean, I kept texting you. We were at the North Night. We kind of flip-flopped being there.
That kid was impressive.
So good. And the kid he wrestled the finals, Kane Bryson from Pisgah, another freshman that's been super impressive, right? So those two guys, glad you brought them up.
I was just sitting here, and I was thinking about Huff, and I was like, man, like there was a kid that really impressed me from there. Mm-hmm. I know Brant looked awesome, but we've known known that Brant's the real deal. And I was like, man, there's just one more kid that I saw from Huff that was just
glad you said
impressive. That really helps their race because 106 is one of those, that's one of those that they could really make up some ground there, because really from our title contenders, we only have Riley Logan from Glenn, Brad Yoakum from Ragsdale, and then Jackson Rowling. So that's a pretty wide open.
I mean, yours truly here picked him to win.
Yes.
I already picked him, and I mean
I agree with that.
When we were text back and forth, because at the North Night, Rhett was there and then had to leave, and I showed up, and then I had to leave, and then Rhett came back for the finals.
Yeah.
And we were kind of exchanging messages back and forth. And I was like, dude, this kid's so good. I can't wait for him versus Kane Bryson. I think it's gonna be fun. And then Rowling dominated that one, right?
Yeah.
And looked really good doing it. So that's another. I'm glad you brought him up. That's a freshman we left off. That again, the freshmen have been the story for us.
They really have this year
so far.
I mean, not just for us. I mean, period.
Yeah.
But with Lake Norman, I think the biggest question I have for them, and I mean, I don't know, it won't get answered because just until either it happens or it doesn't, and we end up in Greensboro and they're both the same weight. Is Carson Floyd going 95 and Sakari going down 220, or are they going to stay with Sakari at heavy and Carson Floyd at 195 or at 220?
Yeah, I'm really curious to that too. I am. I think either way, obviously they're title contenders at either weight.
Yeah.
But I am interested to see how that plays out. I really think ideally both of their perfect weights are 220.
Yeah.
If they both could wrestle 220, they'd wrestle each other in the state finals probably, right? Like,
you know what I want to see? I want to see, or maybe not want to see, what I would love to see is a 195 bracket with Caleb Beatty from Wake Forest.
Yep.
Defending state champ.
Yes.
Sam Greena
Well, he's dropped down to 70.
Oh, he's down at 70 now.
Yeah, he's down to 70.
Okay, wow, that's gonna be a fun weight then.
Yeah.
Joseph Locke, Jack Jarvis, Savoy New, Alex Hopper, Alex Gunning, Elijah Brown, and Sam Greena.
Yes, yeah.
Holy cow, 170 might be the most exciting weight in 4A.
I think Hopper's dropping to 60, but it's still, like, that's huge. That weight's massive. Right?
Wow, that's
a good weight.
170 might be the new... That might be my favorite weight at...
I think...
Anyway, sorry, but...
Beatty,
Floyd, and now the new man down at 195 in 4A, Andrew Machiavello.
Yeah. I was impressed with his results this weekend. Dropped to 95 and buzzsawed everybody. So
buzzsawed people.
We know he has the family genes. We talked about before.
I think he's got a pretty decent workout partner.
Yeah.
Probably, in his off time there, not in the Sun Valley room.
And I know he changed it.
Maybe just maybe an NCAA champ.
C2X too, so which is a good club with a lot of the Cata kids there. And man, it's gonna be interesting with him. If Floyd, him, and Beatty are there, that's gonna be fun.
If Floyd stays 220, I think Andrew Mock might be my favorite 195. I think he might be able to. I think he might beat Beatty.
See, I'm gonna go Beatty until
I know we talked about
this off air.
Off air, I know we did, and I know you're going Beatty. You're pretty high on him, and I am too.
And when Rhett says talk, we kind of bickered about that specific matchup off air.
But man, 195 that looks now. That's a whole new looking bracket. Caleb Beatty, Jaden Houghton, Aiden Maher.
Yeah,
Aiden's one's one that kind of been slept on. Quintez Shipman from Lumberton.
So good.
And now Andrew Machiavello and possibly Carson Floyd. I don't know. He's been holding his own at 220.
Yeah,
and Sakari looks like he's been holding his own at heavy. So it might be one of those things that dual team wise that might just work out better, or that might just be where they want to be. We don't have any information on that.
Zero
and
information.
Lake Norman, we don't expect any.
Nope, don't have to tell us. We'll find out like everybody else.
Because
it's fine with us.
We're not massive supporters of cutting weight.
Nope.
I think that you should be healthy. I think that you should be at the weight. I mean, and it really just comes down to the kid. If a kid wants to cut and feels that that's his best place to win a state title and can do it smart and can do it safely, go for it. I got no problem with that. And it's kind of one of those things that Carson Floyd and Sakari might be looking at it and going, why would we cut? We're wrecking stuff where we are right now.
Yeah, we're killing people right now.
And so, but just, that's one that's really exciting. But the biggest thing from 4A195 that excited me was seeing Andrew Machiavello coming down.
Yeah.
Down into 195. We kind of heard a few rumblings about that. But like we've said before, if you guys send us stuff, we're not here to break news. We're not here to ruin game plans, anything like that.
Us.
And so until you guys actually make your appearance at that weight, or until you guys actually announce it, or unless you just tell us you want us to, we keep it quiet. So we had heard some rumblings about Machiavello going down. It was kind of one of those, it's like, that could be really interesting. We'll see if he gets down there. Did and performed.
Yeah.
Super.
So he looks like he's jumped levels too from last year a little bit with that. And there's a couple other kids I've noticed in the results that have kind of seemingly done similar things, like jumped levels. One of them is Kyler Pickard from Mount Pleasant.
Yep.
He was a runner-up last year, Brady Ross, at the 2A division, but he has already beat Gavin Hartzell. He beat Robert Hyder this year already. So that's two he beat a state champ and a runner-up and both of those were up a weight. He's down to 70 now. He won those at 82. So Pickard from Mount Pleasant has jumped levels. He really impressed me on his feet last year at the state tournament. And I think that with that emerging, he's going to score even bigger points at the state tournament for Mount Pleasant. He's going to be a bonus point machine there. And man, I just been really impressed with his results so far. He's kind of gone from really good to phenomenal this year. And someone else who has done the same thing is McCafferty. right? Aiden McCaffrey from Union Pines. He is killing everyone. I mean, he just at Lake Norman Duels, he put up a 10-1 major decision over Zane Burkett, who I think very, very highly of. Yeah. So McCaffrey has gone from, again, really good to phenomenal, and just running people over and just buzzsawing people. Yeah. His brother Phineas looking really good too, with a big win over Hunter Clark. Too. I'll talk about that in the recap. And then another kid, we put out a video on our social media about this kid. He sent us that Russian snap, which I watched that video.
Slick.
I watched it 50 times.
I got so pumped when he sent me that. Like, that was
dirty. So, and his results have shown, not only does he aesthetically look like he's jumped levels with that super slick Russian snap.
That might be takedown of the week.
It's takedown of the month. That was so dirty.
That was
so dirty.
I don't know. I still like Brant's
elbow pass off.
No, Brant's he went like fake and then right back into that high crotch. The Science Hill kid, who I think that kid's like a 2-time Tennessee State champion.
See, I like Brant's elbow pass off better than I liked that one. Yeah, that was dirty too. So that one was good.
He had one that was just it was like the third one we put on our highlight film, but it was like he went fake. He went like a jab step and lifted the elbow. The kid completely reacted and then thought it was a fake, and he went right back into it and just ran. It was slick.
So dirty.
But I do think that Rich Williams, I think that Russian snap, dude, it was sick.
Aesthetically,
he sent 2 of them too. It wasn't just a one-off. He's been
and
snapping kids with that.
Like I said, aesthetically he's looking good.
Yeah.
Right? But his results are also good. So another kid jumping levels, putting himself. But speaking of Fagerman, that's a potential matchup we could get. Williams Fagerman in the state finals.
Slick matchup.
That'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. I think Fagerman's still got it right now.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be
to watch
some
that one.
Slick takedowns of that match. So there's a big news that came out this week. Yes. Frank put it out on social media, and there was a lot of interaction with it from really high-level guys. I saw T. Little comment on it. I saw Chris Young from North Pitt comment on it. Maurice Atwood, Coach Atwood was on there. And
legendary coach right there, North Carolina.
Mike Carey, coach from Ford.
Another legendary
They were all
coach.
commenting to each other back and forth about it. The North Carolina Athletic Association has decided to use ranked wrestlers to seed the dual state playoffs. Now, there's a lot of back and forth on it. I saw some people say, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's terrible, so dumb. I saw a couple people say, no, I like it, kind of thing. I saw Coach Carey in particular kind of, it didn't really seem like he was leaning one way or the other, as far as he didn't say hey, I love it, hey, I don't like it. But he did explain to people about what the process was. So that was helpful for me as well, reading it and kind of seeing what his perspective was on it. Ultimately, the Athletic Association wants to seed the dual state playoffs like they seed everything else, right? The soccer playoffs are seeded. The tennis playoffs are seeded. The football playoffs are seeded for all the teams versus what we have currently or had currently, where you win your conference and you're kind of placed in the bracket, right? And so I went back and forth. We talked about this the other night, and at that time I was like, you know what? Ranked wrestlers formula sucks sometimes, right? Sometimes, Landon Ford last year was ranked at 220, even though everyone knew he was wrestling 182. He just went up for 220 for a duel or something. I
just hope that ranked wrestler doesn't push teams to have an easier schedule.
Yeah, I think that's a big concern right now.
That's my biggest fear. I love the idea of seeding the playoffs, because you avoid that first round matchup between the teams that should be in the state finals in Greensboro, wrestling for a dual team state championship. But I don't know if ranked wrestlers is the way to do it. But at the same time, I've kind of always said if you don't really bring an issue to a problem without a solution.
I agree.
And so it's one of those things that I don't have anything else for it unless there's just a separate entity that's going to do the all the rankings. But then you get into personal feelings and you get into opinions on rankings, and so I do think that the formula of it makes sense, like of having one at least. I don't know if I agree with ranked wrestlers. I'm just scared that it's going to push teams to go back away from what we've seen this year of all these fire dual meets and like awesome tournaments.
Yeah.
And go back into, we're going to pad our stats a little bit, make our kids look a little bit better, have a better chance at the seeding, here.
Yeah.
I do think though in the end, I think the best team's going to come out. It's one of those that as a fan and now this is media doing this, it stinks to see. It would stink to really to see those two really good teams go at it right away. But I still think that you still get to see an awesome match there, and I think that the best team's going to come out.
I agree.
So it's just I feel like I went really far around that. I don't know if I have a yes or no if I like it or not. I think I need to see it implemented this year and see how it shakes out. I kind of compare it to the college football playoff thing, where a committee votes on the top 4, right? I don't think that North Carolina is big enough that we could really have a committee unless they did something that Southeast Russell is doing with the coaches committee.
Ranking, yeah.
And we look at it and we say, okay, here's the poll for the coaches. We have to do this. You have to put your votes in, and that's how we seed it. But then you get into a little bit more of maybe favoritism, maybe personal bias.
Some people don't pay attention.
Right, exactly.
They just worry about their team.
Exactly, which is fine. That's your job.
Yeah.
It's just kind of trying to bring up the conversation of alternatives. So I'm gonna hold my complete judgment on it until I see it implemented. Is it going to be used this year? This is the first year, right?
My understanding is this year, first time.
So I think we can revisit it at the end of the year, or if it's I wonder if it's going to be a running update of you can see where teams are seated.
That would be so awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
I doubt they'll do that.
I doubt they could, but see an updated okay, this team just lost here and that did this to their seating. I'd like to kind of see how I guess the algorithm updates throughout the year and how it ends up. I got a running ranking almost, but I don't know if that's possible. I don't think that we're going to have that access. But like I said, I think I'm going to have to wait and see how it shakes up and see if I like it or not.
Yeah, my reaction actually is very similar to Teague Little.
Yeah,
I saw Teague Little. I think it was on Instagram. He kind of was first thing he was saying, I don't want to misquote him, but generally paraphrasing, he was like, I don't know about this. I don't think this is a good idea, right? And then I saw later he said something about after seeing some other comments or something like that, Ranked Wrestlers is going to come out with a new formula just for dual team ranking.
Okay.
So it kind of swayed him to
give it a shot.
Maybe this won't be so bad.
Okay.
So I'm kind of there. At first I was like, oh gosh, Ranked Wrestlers, sometimes their formula can be so bad. It can be so good, but it also can be very bad. And so I was like, this isn't going to turn out well. And then I kind of saw Coach Carey's comments. And he was kind of explaining, this is the process. This is what's going to be implemented. They're coming up with a new formula. There's going to be some type of tougher competition type of part to the formula. And I was pretty pleased with that. So now I'm more... So I started off not a good idea. And now I'm way on the side of...
You like it?
I like this. And I think ultimately, I said this to you the other night, it's a good idea to get everything seated, right?
Yes.
Number one, I think it's good to be uniform with the other sports and just have a seating. Number two, I think, yes, the best team's going to come out, but if we can kind of delay some of those matchups. I remember 2 years ago, obviously not here in the last year COVID season, but 2 years ago, Ford and Cata met second round.
Right.
And they were the two best teams in the West at that time. And then even when you were coaching at Inca wrestled St. Stephen's after St. Stephen's had beaten West, who had already beaten Inca, right? They had West kind of got that really tough quad in that section, right? So
they just got the tough side of the quad.
Well, yes, yeah.
So they had to knock off. They would have to win a state title that year. They would have had, I forgot who they had the first round. there. But they would have had, I think it was they had St. Stephen's. So they would have had to beat St. Stephen's, who was really solid good that year. Mm-hmm. And then they would have had to beat us that year when, if we're really looking at it unbiased and honest, if West beat us head to head, how did we kind of get the easier pull? You know, whenever you have a head-to-head win on somebody, how did they get the easier pull on the bracket than you did?
Yeah, so
which I think it does shake out like that. Like it does.
I think it's a good idea just to kind of try to create the best matchups later in the tournament, like Rhett said, and try to get those, you know, make those semifinals and those quarters more legitimate than the first night if that's going to happen. So I think it's a great idea. I like it. I think it's going to turn out really well, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just going to have to wait and see. Or I'm just going to have a little bit more understanding on it of where everything's coming from, how they look at it, what exact formula is going to be used.
Yeah.
But, man, it's just, this season's already so much fun. I'm just so glad to see tournaments again, seeing, you know, dual team tournaments again, seeing these individual tournaments that these awesome matchups are coming from. And y'all, one big thing, if y'all want to, send us duels that y'all want us to see or try and get to. There's a lot of schedules, and there's not like a central location for schedules. I wish there was.
Yeah, you can go to track and cipher through, but even then, they're not all in.
It's still everywhere else, and some coaches don't put them in, and some coaches put everything in right away. You know, it's just this massive... Track can be awesome, but I also understand that it can be...
A data overload?
Yes, data overload, and it can be in some other coaches, some old school coaches, like, you know, the back of their minds, right? Mm-hmm. They want to do everything by the book, you know, hand and paper, just because they like it more, you know, whatever, to each their own, run your program, get your kids to the best spot to win a state title, however you need to get them there. But it is tough to kind of keep up with who and where is going, like what's going on. So if y'all can, like, if y'all have an awesome duel coming up, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, in a month or something like that y'all think it should be one that we should see or that we should know about, one that should be on our radar, shoot us a message, shoot us a DM, or even comment on something.
Yeah.
Let us know. Because while we are only two guys that we do both work full-time jobs, we are going to try and get to some of these big duels, and that's one thing that we want to do. We want to try and come cover some of these big tournaments, some of these big duels when we get the chance to, you know, to give you guys the best coverage and give you guys the praise and credit that y'all deserve. So, like I said, shoot us a message on that stuff. Let us know what's kind of going on, what's going down, and when it is, and if we can get there, we'll try to. But I think that wraps it up for this week.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited to see what's coming up. And like I said, get your nominations in for Wrestler of the Week and Team of the Week.
Yeah, and check out CarolinaTakedownTalk.com. Content you love coming your way. And as always, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We're out.